This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 128 of the Heathy Critters Radio on Horse Radio Network. Heathy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we share the story of the Heathy Critters podcast origin. In Critter Nutrition, we share fun facts about horses, dogs, and food. And in Coffee Klatch, we discuss the pros and cons of letting your dog on the furniture. Listen in. Hi, I'm Tigger.
And I'm Coach Jen, and Patty's not here.
She's frozen in Texas.
She's frozen in Texas. That's right. Yes. Holy icicle apocalypse, people.
Yes, no kidding. And we hope she'll be able to defrost before the next podcast.
And for those listening to this podcast in 2024, not 2021 when it's made, just look up Snowpocalypse, Texas 2021, and you'll know what the heck is going on.
It's colder in Texas than it is in Alaska.
That's just crazy.
It's just wrong.
It's wrong. You're right. It is. It's wrong. And since Patty's not here, I was tasked with coming up with something to chit-chat about.
Yes.
Because we didn't have Patty to help out, and she's
Correct.
an important contributor here to the conversations. So I came up with this.
And I went along with it.
And you went along with it.
Yes.
We're taking our cue from Hollywood. One of Hollywood's favorite things to do is origin stories. They have some successful movie or TV show, and they have to do the origin story, usually 5 years after it started. So I thought it would be appropriate, since the Heathy Critters podcast did start 5 years ago. It started in 2015.
Wow.
November of 2015, to be precise. I kind of thought it would be interesting to find out the origin story. So first of all, Tigger.
Yes.
What made you think that you wanted to do a podcast?
Because I was on a podcast on Horse Radio Network.
As a guest, that's right. You were an expert on some of our shows.
Yes. And I was on once a month.
That's right. I'm going to have to go dig those out.
I can't even remember who it was, what her show was. But, yeah. So she would ask me a nutritional question and I would answer it.
I wonder if you were on Stable Scoop early on.
It was just once a month.
Yeah. I'll have to go look it up. Stay tuned, folks.
Okay. So that's really where it started. And then she got some kind of job or something that she couldn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just sort of, it came to me. I went, wait a minute. So she's not doing that show. That means there's probably an opening on Horse Radio Network for another podcast. Hello, Glenn.
Oh, wow. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I said, I've got an idea. And so we talked. And first I wanted to call it All Creatures Great and Small. And he said, that's too long.
It's already taken, by the way.
Well, okay. Well, I was thinking of sort of playing off the book. So then we came up with the idea of Heathy Critters. And then, he said, well, you have to come up with a format. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I didn't think it was this complicated.
No. I thought we'd sit a chat for an hour and have a nice time. So I started thinking about, I wanted to do some nutrition, but I didn't want it to be all nutrition, and I wanted it to be fun. And at this point, I had already known Hedwig. And I thought
Hedwig, for new listeners, is the talking Pomeranian.
Yes. And I thought, how unique to have a talking dog on a podcast. Well, when I pitched it to Glenn, I thought he was going to have a coronary. He was like, that's not, I don't think that's a good idea. A talking Pomeranian. I went, oh yeah, it's great. And he was so skeptical, and I understand his skepticism, but I sort of stuck to my guns on that because I knew it could be short and fun. And what I was going after, do you remember when we were teenagers back before the Earth's crust cooled, and you'd listen to AM radio or FM radio, and they'd have like a shtick, like a really popular radio station that played a lot of popular music, would kind of have a shtick in the morning with talking to a commuter that was made up. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was thinking of Hedwig as just this sort of a personality that comes on for a very short period of time and says something, funny, and then leaves. Mm-hmm. So that in essence was how. It's not a very exciting origin story. No Hollywood film would go, hey, now this is a movie.
Now, wait a minute. Hollywood made a movie about people who are digging holes in an island looking for nothing. So they could make they could make a franchise out of this. I'm telling you. So that's how did you and Patty get hooked up to do the podcast together? Because were you and Patty co-hosts to start out, or did Patty come in a little bit later?
No, Patty and I started right off.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's not here to defend herself, so you can say anything you want.
I know, it's awesome. When Glenn and I started talking about it, he suggested a co-host. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a good idea, so it wouldn't all be on my shoulders. As it turns out, it is all my shoulders anyway.
How things have come around full circle.
Have not changed. Patty and I met each other in 1990 in Venice, Florida at Foxley Farm, where we were both spending the winter with our horses.
Really?
Yep. And that's where we met, and she had just married Peter, her husband. So that's how long Patty and I go back.
You guys go way back.
Way back, 30 years.
Wow, I didn't know that part.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have been fast friends for a very long time.
I've gone through her pregnancies.
Yeah. Raising the kids. Yeah, the whole thing.
Kids. Yes, exactly. And we have the kind of friendship where we may not speak or see each other or anything for months and months and months. And as soon as we see each other or pick up the phone, it's like yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just fall into that. Very comfortable. And I wanted Patty because she's one of the funniest people I know. And I think for a podcast, it's great to have somebody that has an innate sense of humor. Mm-hmm. I'm a drier side. I'm silly, but she's got a really quick wit, mm-hmm. which I lack. So and I have the gravitas that she lacks. So we play off each other well, and we know each other so well. Yeah. And she's a very good horsewoman.
Yeah. And I love picking her brain when I get to choose the round table topics. I love picking mm-hmm. y'all's brains. So when you started out this podcast, you probably had kind of an idea of how it was going to be and what it was going to be like and things like that.
Not really.
What are some of the things that have surprised you about being a podcaster?
That people listen.
People love this show. I listen. I love the show. You do have a lovely mix of information and fun. Yeah.
Yes. I am continually surprised when I get an email for a nutritional consult and I call the person on the phone and they say, oh, I listen to Heathy Critters. And I'm like, you do? Because I can't really get it through my head that people actually listen. Yeah. And a friend of mine from Canada, she's not a horse person, but she comes down here and for the winter, and she has a dog. So I met her via the dog park. and she loves healthy, and she always is telling me how much she enjoys listening to Healthy Critters. And she's not even a horse person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the most rewarding part is knowing that, people like what we're creating.
Mm-hmm.
That's really rewarding.
Well, there you go. See? And I think the idea that people are listening to your podcast is very difficult, because for a recorded podcast, you don't get any feedback from your audience.
Right.
It's after the fact. So it can be a little bit weird. So this is a note. Be careful of what you're saying, because people are listening. If you dwell on that too much, it will get stuck. It's very hard. If you get too wrapped up, you get inside your own head about people are listening to this after the fact. I try not to dwell on that, because then I clam up and I can't talk at all, and that's bad.
Yeah, I don't think about that. I mean, I think about making sure that the content is interesting and that it's a blend of information and fun. That's very much on my mind, but I don't have any expectations about what's going to happen when it goes out into the ethers. But I got interviewed a couple of months ago, and it was a podcast. And because I'm so comfortable now in the medium, I just let loose. I mean,
the person doing the interviewing was going, "Oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into?"
Yeah, they were kind of surprised that I was so funny, and I was raw, in a raw way, truthful. Like I didn't try to hide anything, and I had several people who listened to that podcast tell me, "Tigger, I nearly fell off the floor laughing. I couldn't believe what you were saying." I think I was talking about cannabis, because we were somehow on the subject of CBD, and
Yeah. Well,
and I just had a riff.
Yeah, and that's part of your makeup, in that you have a real propensity for just laying it on the line and telling it like it is.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. And that part of that, and you probably experience this as well. Part of that is aging. I just turned 68, and as you age, you realize that a lot of the stuff that you used to care about really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter a flying flip.
No. And when I think of how much time I spent worrying about stuff that doesn't matter, and I'm probably wearing a lot of that on my face and all the wrinkles.
There you go.
And I think that's the gift of, seeing your body deteriorate and gravity work against you, is that you get this added benefit of, I just don't give a fig about the stuff that I used to care about.
Yeah, a sense of freedom. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Interesting.
And experience, we have to hire, people at Biostar, and it's so interesting to me that I don't realize how much experience I have until I'm interviewing somebody who's 30 years old.
Yes.
I'm going, holy cow. Yeah, and I've had to really reduce my expectations, because there is no way they at age 30 are going to have the 50 years of equine experience that I have. Right. And I can't expect them to have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's funny, because before we started recording this evening, I'm going to pull back the fourth wall a little bit. I was discussing with Tigger the idea of reposting episode number 1 of Healthy Critters Radio, the very first one you guys did, which Glenn produced. I didn't.
Yes.
And poor Tigger about panicked. She said, "Don't you dare. People will leave in droves." So this is my call, everybody.
Compromise, yeah.
Everybody go to Biostar US and look up episode number 1 of Healthy Critters. Or if you want to do it on the Horse Radio Network site, just go to Horse Radio Network and you're right there. You'll find Healthy Critters Radio and go back to episode 1 and listen in. And then let Tigger know how wonderful she was, because she didn't have 30 years of experience yet. She was the 30-year-old at that point.
Yeah, I was. And Patty and I were so bad at it that Glenn said he can't deal with this. And so we got Jennifer. So it was great because it ended up, he was absolutely right. It was a much better synergy with Jennifer. But we had so many, what would normally take an hour to record took us 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had so many technical problems.
No idea.
Oh,
yeah.
It was painful. And Glenn was so patient, but not for long, because I think after about the 3rd or 4th episode, he was like, no, I'm not doing this. And I was always worried about that we would not be invited to be part of the radiothon, because I thought that Glenn thought we were just a bunch of bumbling fools over here in Healthy Critters.
Well, the first few episodes were a little green. There was some crow hopping going on. Pop that shoulder out, cross cantering behind. That was going on. All of it. Yeah.
Breaking in the extended trot.
Yeah, it was happening.
Yeah.
Could not load on a horse trailer to save your life.
No way. Or stand for the farrier.
Stand for the farrier. Oh, that's fabulous. So everybody go back and listen to the first few episodes of Healthy Critters. You'll enjoy it.
Do not listen to the
You'll
first
love it.
episode. Let's just go forward.
Just go. Well, speaking of going forwards, one of the things that's been on Healthy Critters Radio from the get-go is Hedwig the talking Pomeranian. So why don't we give her a holler?
Excellent.
Hello.
Hetty.
Hello. How's it going? Everything well for you? I hear Patty is dying of freezingness.
Yes. Poor Patty in Texas. It's quite
Patty.
I know. We have one of the things that we are discussing is how Patty and I got into podcasting vis-a-vis Healthy Critters, how Healthy Critters got a start. So I was looking forward to hearing your reminiscences of your experiences as a podcast Pomeranian.
Probably the world's only podcast Pomeranian, by the way.
Correct.
We think so, but we don't really know. I mean, we don't really know. There are a lot of podcasts.
Yes.
There could be many palms podcasting. Palmcasting, as I like to call it, because it's really all about the palm. About the palm. No one else. Just about the palm. Well, my friend Tigger suggested that I proffer advice to those who needed help and answer questions, and I thought that was something for which I had great talent. So I said yes. And I have pretty much been doing that. I mean, I think some highlights of our time together include when I think it was Patty thought that I was named for Harry Potter. No. And I had to educate her about the actual provenance of my name. And let's see other things. Oh, I've done some singing, some singing. Yeah.
Yes, have.
I've told some stories about my behavior, some of which were, I believe, taken out of proportion by some members of the staff who thought that they should bring them up later and, make it into a thing. But whatever works for you guys, I guess. For example, my Christmas story has been taken many times about when I ate the chocolate espresso bean.
Chocolate. Yes.
There have been a lot of stories to summarize about me looking a little foolish, but that's not really the point of this podcast, which is to have me help others. But then I realized that sometimes it's better to not be on a pedestal, and to allow people to see your frailties so that they can understand you're like them,
Yes. That's very poignant. And I just, one thing I would like for you to enumerate quickly is the great tortilla heist that occurred in your barn just a few days ago.
I totally knew this was going to come up. So I have been framed for a crime that I did not commit.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I mean, maybe, but my lawyer will defend me to the death. So what actually happened?
I think I should tell the story because I'm going to tell
you were
it.
Not here.
I know, but I heard it from your servant.
But she's nice. She's an unreliable narrator.
A groom that works
tell the story.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
An individual who works here brought his lunch. And in the lunch bag was a Tupperware and then a little packet of homemade tortillas. And he hung the bag a little bit too low for safety. And somehow the servant was somewhere, and then the person who owned the lunch was walking a horse, and somehow the tortillas became scattered down the aisle, and two small Pomeranians were caught with tortillas in their mouths. And I was one of those Pomeranians, but that's no reason to blame me.
Oh, no, of course not.
And my servant was able to reconcile the issue. She just took a quick trip and purchased some new tortillas. She did not make them by hand, which she should have. That would have been appropriate because they were handmade tortillas. And she did not make them by hand. So really, she's at fault here.
Okay, got it. Jennifer, I want you to imagine a center aisle barn strewn with tortillas and running Pomeranians.
And panicked Pomeranians. I only have one detail that I really need to know. Were they corn or flour tortillas?
They were flour tortillas, and we did not get into the Tupperware, which was our great dream. We could not open it with our tiny paws, and the thumb haver would not help.
I just the vision of tortillas like leading the way like Hansel and Gretel, the breadcrumbs, and the palms running after the tortillas. Well, carrying the tortillas, running with the tortillas in their mouth. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the tortillas would sort of overbalance us.
Well, yes, they're rather large. Something, may I just say this, an Australian Shepherd would never do. Just saying.
No, he wouldn't trip over them, but he would totally steal them if I told him to.
I don't think so.
Yes, but there are no podcasting Aussies.
No, they're not.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for pulling back the curtain and giving us a little bit more insight into your wonderful, amazing Pomeranian podcaster's life.
I'm here to help.
And thanks for the great tortilla heist.
The great tortilla heist of 2021.
Available on Audible in 2022.
Yes.
Yeah, you bet. Mm-hmm.
Here we are at Critter Nutrition, and today it's fun facts about horses, dogs, and food. This is kind of information you could use to play Jeopardy or Trivial Pursuit. You know, facts that can come in quite handy, or are great conversation starters.
There you go. Well, yeah, there you go. Great things to chat about with people you have nothing in common with. There you go.
Or on blind dates.
On blind dates. Excellent.
Yes. So, in the horse category, did you know veterinary surgeons were referred to as farriers in the 1600s and 1700s? It wasn't until 1796 when the British Army's Board of General Officers renamed them veterinary surgeons.
Did not know.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
The horse's teeth, takes up larger amount of space in their head than their brain.
That I believe. Yeah, and they use them more too.
Yes, yes, they do. A horse's heart typically weighs between 4 kilograms and 4.5 kilograms and is about the size of a basketball. Think about that.
Basketball. I would not have guessed basketball.
No, I was thinking much smaller.
Yeah. Huh. Well, there you go.
MSM, commonly found in many horse supplements, is made either by a reaction of sulfur and methane gas or with petroleum byproducts and paper mill waste.
Ew.
Yeah, how would you like that in your feed? Studies at the University of Guelph's Ontario Veterinary College show that intestinal microbiome of a horse consists of quadrillions of microbes. A quadrillion is larger than a trillion and is written with 15 zeros.
15?
Yes,
Wow.
that's a quadrillion.
Would not have guessed.
I know. A British study in 2013 showed that horses feel calm and relaxed when listening to classical and country music. The same study discovered that jazz and rock music agitated horses.
Well, it agitates me, too. Okay, everybody who's a rock fan, a jazz fan, send your hate mail to Patty at horseradionetwork.com.
To Jen. Any noise over 21 decibels caused horses to become stressed. So, to put this in perspective, whispering from 5 feet away is 20 decibels.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And any noise over 21 for a horse. So whispering from 5 feet is 20 decibels. A refrigerator is 50 decibels.
Huh.
Normal conversation and background music is 60 decibels.
Who'd have thunk?
Chainsaw, leaf blower, motorcycle clock in at 106 to 115 decibels. A riding lawnmower registers 90 decibels. A tractor is about 92 decibels. A weed eater is 96 decibels.
Make you rethink using that blower in the aisleway, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that interesting?
Okay. Dogs. Did you know? A dog's nose print is unique, much like a person's fingerprint. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt had a bull terrier named Pete, who ripped a French ambassador's pants off at the White House. The French government formally complained about the incident.
He didn't just rip the pants, he ripped the pants off.
Obesity and cancer are the top 2 health issues in dogs in the U.S. It's a sad commentary.
Yeah.
The first commercial dog food was invented by James Spratt, a lightning rod salesman from Ohio, who came up with the idea while living in England and observing street dogs eating the non-perishable staple of common seamen called hardtack. Spratt called his dog food the patented meat fibrine dog cake and began operations in the U.S. in 1870. His ingredients consisted of grains, beetroot, vegetables, and dried, unsalted, gelatinous parts of dried meat meal. Americans generally fed their dogs table scraps, and Spratt set about convincing Americans to feed their dogs his biscuits instead. Thus began the transition from humans sharing their food with their dogs to feeding, quote-unquote, dog food.
Huh.
Fun fact.
Didn't know. Based on hardtack.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, in the food section, did you know? Spirulina contains 25 times more beta-carotene than raw carrots.
And explain what spirulina is.
It's a blue-green algae.
There you go. So spirulina, how much more?
25 times.
But it doesn't look good on the for a nose on a snowman. So we still need the carrot. Yeah. Don't give up your carrots.
That's a good one. Sunflowers are native to South and North America. Sunflower plants have been used to extract toxins such as lead, arsenic, and uranium from contaminated soils. They were used to reduce contamination following the Chernobyl disaster and after Fukushima.
I did not. And see, I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I've got actually, if you go to Biostar US and you go to our articles, we have a citation.
That's interesting. I want to know how that works.
Well, they probably like a lot of plants. They'll pull that into themselves. They'll attract the lead, and cadmium, and uranium.
Interesting.
Almonds. Can you guess how many pounds of almonds it takes to make a pint of almond oil?
Almond oil.
Mm-hmm.
How many pounds of almonds to make a pint of almond oil?
Mm-hmm.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. What is 5 pounds?
1,000.
No.
Yep.
That doesn't sound right.
1,000 pounds of almonds to make 1 pint of almond oil.
Almonds are not very oily, are they?
No, they're not.
Huh. Wow. Fun facts for 10,000, please.
Yeah. Okay. Flax. In the 8th century, King Charlemagne of France passed a law requiring his subjects to consume flax. It was a law. You had to eat it. Today, Canada is the largest producer and exporter of flaxseed in the world.
Huh.
But in the 8th century, Charlemagne said he required his subjects to consume flax.
Is that because Charlemagne had a lot of flax plants and he needed to create a market?
I don't know.
Huh.
They considered it, a really important food, or Charlemagne did.
Charlemagne did anyway. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so this happens to be my favorite. So I think I'll put it at the end.
Okay.
Do you know how many varieties of bananas there are?
1. I knew that.
1,000.
No.
There are over 1,000 varieties of bananas all over the world, but the banana sold in most supermarkets is a genetic clone of the Cavendish variety. Since the Cavendish does not have seeds, it must be cloned by farmers to continue production.
Yeah, banana trees. We learned this when we did the behind the scenes tour at Walt Disney Animal Kingdom, I think it was, or maybe at Epcot, that the Cavendish, and around here they don't even call them a banana tree. They call it a Cavendish. They don't say, I have a banana tree. They say, I have a Cavendish. It makes bananas one time.
Yep.
And then it grows a baby out the bottom and it sprouts up somewhere else. And that one will grow up and make bananas one time. And then it goes down in the ground. So the banana trees that you see, a banana grove, starts out, like you said, it's one tree. They're all genetically identical because they're all actually one plant.
Yeah.
But what pops up out of the ground and makes bananas dies off. And then that same plant creates a new one coming up out of the ground elsewhere. I think aspen trees have a similar habit.
Oh, there's a famous aspen grove. It's like thousands and thousands of years. It's the oldest, I think, living one system it started with an individual tree and then it just spread but it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, aspen trees were fascinating. We did a tour.
I love aspen trees.
And the guide was telling us all about the aspen trees, and that was fascinating and they're studying them because if one individual in the colony is damaged, others do things differently so that the damaged one is supported. It's really crazy. Yeah,
well, in the forest, trees will do that even with other species.
Did not know that.
Yes.
Look at them.
I mean,
we can
they're
learn
very
something from them.
Big time.
Yeah. There we go. Fun facts about food, huh?
Yes. Did you know the Aztecs used cocoa beans and chia as currency?
I didn't. Huh. I know they had cocoa beans, but I didn't know they used it as currency. Interesting.
And chia.
So chia was small change and cocoa beans was...
Yeah, with the dollars.
Yeah, with the dollars.
In ancient Egypt, workers could be paid in radishes, onions, and garlic. During the Middle Ages, black pepper was an expensive spice and sometimes used by noblemen to pay their taxes.
See, you hear about salt. Salt gets all the glory. You hear about salt all the time. But what about pepper, doggone it?
Yep. Huh. Well, it had to be imported.
Yeah.
Right? Carrots were originally purple or white. according to the National Carrot Museum in the UK.
There's a carrot museum? That's
Yes,
the factoid right there.
That's the best part. Exactly. The orange carrots of today are the result of a genetic mutation in the late 16th century.
You can find heirloom carrots every so often, and they're totally fun.
Yes, and they're white.
Well, the ones I've come across, you get the
Purple.
variety pack. They'll have the orange ones and yellow ones and purple ones and white ones and, a whole bunch of different colors.
They're very
in one pack.
cool.
Yeah.
It is said that the classic American macaroni and cheese returned with Thomas Jefferson to Virginia after his sojourn in Italy. However, Jefferson was most likely not the first to introduce macaroni, with or without cheese, to America, nor did he invent the recipe. He did, however, help to popularize it by serving it to dinner guests during his presidency. A recipe for macaroni in Jefferson's own hand survives.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, because writing down recipes was not all that common back in the day. That's interesting.
No. Huh. Yeah. High-frequency sounds enhance the sweetness in food, while low frequencies bring out the bitterness. Examples of high-frequency sounds are birds chirping, a child's squeal, women's voices, a whistle. Low-frequency sounds are thunder, a bass drum, and a man's deep voice. And now for my favorite fun fact of the day.
Drum roll, please.
Do you know how chimichangas got their name?
No.
Chimichangas originated in Tucson, Arizona in the 1950s. The name chimichanga, meaning thingamajig, was coined by a cook who was trying not to curse in front of the kids.
Really? So chimichanga doesn't really mean anything. It's just a made-up word.
It's just a made-up word.
I did not know that.
Yep.
And here all this time, I thought it had some important meaning in a language I didn't understand.
Exactly. It's thingamajig.
It's thingamajig. Well, there you go. Fun facts about food.
Fun facts about food and horses and dogs.
There you go.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real fruit ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
All right, Healthy Critters Radio, Coffee Klatch, 3, 2, 1.
So here we are at Coffee Klatch, and our subject is the pros and cons of letting your dog on the bed and furniture. And Jennifer and I have very different opinions on this, you could say. So, Jennifer, why do you not allow your dog on the bed or the furniture?
I was scarred as a child.
Really?
No. Growing up, we had German Shepherds, and we usually had a number of them. And I used to hate it when the dog would get up on the bed, and it would just take up all the space. And they smelled bad, and they were dirty because they were farm dogs, and they stank. And so I vowed as an adult that I would not allow my dogs on the bed because I didn't want my bed to be, it's my bed, darn it. And I'm a very active sleeper. I toss and I turn and I throw the covers off and then I put the covers back on. And it's just no room for a dog, in my opinion. So that's kind of how that part got started. Because we had big, hairy, noisy, farty, stinky dogs. And I had to sleep with them as a kid. And I decided as an adult, I didn't have to anymore.
Now, how about like the furniture?
The furniture, that evolved. When Glenn and I first got together, as a young adult, I didn't have any pets. I had a lifestyle that could not support a pet. But when Glenn and I first got together, of course, you're a young couple. What's the first thing you do? You get a dog, right?
All right.
So we had a little teeny tiny fuzzball irritating dog, which liked Glenn. We'll leave the sentence stop there. And that dog was allowed on the furniture, but it was teensy tiny. I think he weighed about 12 pounds, but that was because it liked Glenn.
Okay, so the subsequent dogs, if they liked Glenn, they got to be on the furniture. If they didn't like Glenn, they didn't get to be on the furniture.
Well, after that, the next dog we got into our lives was another rescue dog. The first one was too, but this dog was almost feral in that she wouldn't even come into the house, much less get on the furniture. But as a senior, she decided that it would be cool to come into the house after all, and she never made any attempt to get onto the furniture. So it was not an issue. It was not an issue. She never tried to get on the furniture. She was perfectly happy to just lay on the floor. And when we got our first greyhound, greyhounds are very large. Even if they only weigh 60 or 70 pounds, they take up the space of an 150-pound dog.
Long legs.
They have long legs and very sharp claws. So we decided we just didn't want to share that much. So, and they're, for the most part, racing greyhounds, ex-racing greyhounds, for the most part, are crate trained in that they love their crate. That's their house. They don't want us sitting on their furniture. So when we got our first one, we wanted to honor that because that was her happy place. It's like, we're not going to get in your crate. You're not going to get on our couch. And it worked out really well. And we've kind of stuck that with it. That being said, our latest greyhound, the now infamous Pickles.
I keep wanting to call her Giggles.
Yeah, well, yeah. Pickles is working her way onto the furniture 1 inch at a time. We were out camping. We take her along when we go camping in our little teeny tiny camper. And because she has terrible separation anxiety, she does not get left in the camper alone because there will be disaster. But she's gotten to the point now that we can leave her in the camper alone if we're sitting outside the camper. She can just look out the screen door and see us. Well, we did that one time last time we were out camping. It was real quiet in there, so of course I got suspicious. And I peeked in there, and it had only been 90 seconds since we closed the door. And there she was, happily perched on the couch, looking very, very pleased with herself.
I love her.
Yes. So I suspect at some time in the near future, there will be a dog sitting on our living room furniture.
And how will you deal with that?
Oh, let her be.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay.
She's had a tough time adjusting to being a pet. It's been a rocky road for her. So something as trivial as sitting on the furniture, we're not going to make an issue of it.
Okay.
Now, she's not tearing up the furniture. She's not peeing on the furniture. I'm okay with sitting on it. Pick your battles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, see, I just have this vision because how many dogs live with you?
8.
8 dogs. And how many of those 8 dogs has short hair?
None.
So how do you deal with that?
I have Peter.
Do you have do you like put covers on the furniture?
Yeah.
Or just put covers on?
Well, not fancy covers. We just use a lot of sheets.
That's what our covers are. We get whenever somebody's having a white sale, we just go in and buy all the super duper cheap sheet sets we can find.
Cheap. Yeah. Yep. Peter also likes to go to estate sales, so he can get sheets for $1.
Yeah, good deal.
And so we throw it over a chair or and the couch, and I use it daily on my bed. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how we deal with it. So
when a new dog comes into the family, mm-hmm. do the other dogs immediately teach new dog how to get up on the furniture?
No. Well, not actively, But new dog generally, generally they're puppies. So I pick them up and put them on the couch with me.
Oh, look at you being a
well, what I found
facilitator
is that, puppies won't pee where they sleep.
Right.
Most of the time, unless they're desperate. So I raise all my puppies on my bed. They sleep on there at night, and they, are on the couch with me during the day, or on the floor if they want to be. But if they want to get up, I pick them up and we have some cuddle time, and they, turn into a ball and sleep. And so the furniture is their happy place. Now, I have a very funny dog named Keen. Keen is a year and a half. And ever since he was a puppy, he really wanted to be an interior decorator. Well, and not in a destructo way. So here we are in Florida now, and he likes to move the pillows from the couch. And he very delicately puts them on the floor so that he has various areas where he can lie on the pillows on the floor.
Oh my gosh, he moves the furniture to where he wants it.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Oh, that is funny that he moves them around.
Yes, he moves them around, and he never rips anything up.
Be careful what you say.
And no, he's sort of, he's a year and a half. If he was going to rip something up, he'd be, 6 months old. I don't have that problem with Aussies. None of my Aussies has ever ripped anything. They'll carry my underwear around, but they don't, eat it or destroy it. So they're just not of that, mind, I guess. So I'm, I have been in houses where people don't let their dogs on the furniture, and I totally respect that. But for me, one of the great parts of sharing your life with your dog is, when the dog reads you and knows you and goes, oh, I think you need some dog love right now.
Yeah.
And
the cuddle part is nice.
It's so nice.
The cuddle part is nice. What we do is we sit on the floor with the dog. So we cuddle the dog versus the dog cuddling us. And Pickles is still kind of getting used to that. You can tell she's going, I'm not sure. Oh, wow. Is this okay? Because she's just so shy. She's always worried she's doing something wrong, which is a very typical greyhound point of view. But she's kind of warming up to it. But you're right, the whole cuddle thing. So when her current cuddle method, when she wants to cuddle, is she just comes up to our couch. We have a piece of furniture in our kitchen, in our living room. It's a double recliner. That's all there is. The rest of the living room is taken up by my office. And she comes up and she pushes against your knees on the base of the chair with her chest, and then she buries her face in the crook of whatever joint is closest. And then she pushes harder and pushes harder and pushes harder and pushes harder until her front feet kind of give way and she flops onto her chin. And then she gets confused and goes, oh my God, what just happened? My feet got out from under me. Yeah. Pretty common.
I also find it very advantageous in cold weather to have 2 or 3 Aussies in bed, and one Wookie, who's the smallest of the group. She is like the world's best warmer, and she'll plant herself actually where I sleep, and then I tell her to move over, and she just looks at me like, you talking to me? Yeah, no. So I have to physically push her. I get into bed, and then she just wraps herself up in my arm, under my arm, and suddenly the bed is like warm. It's like I already have a heating blanket on.
That's why dogs were domesticated.
Yeah.
Dogs were domesticated in a cold climate, not in Florida. For sure. But in the summer, even if they start on the bed, they're not there very long. It's too hot. They want the floor. They want to be on the floor.
So I wash more sheets in the winter than I do in the summer. And of course, there's the inevitable when a dog will, because with lots of them, they'll come into the mudroom, and if Peter's by himself, he's not so great at putting them all on a stay, and he towels them off, when it's really muddy and gross. And he'll forget to close the door, and a couple will run in and make a beeline for the couch.
Oh no! Flying leap mud
new
null.
sheet. Yeah.
Mud null.
Yeah.
There you go.
And they just look at you like, what? Get off, get off.
Get off, get off, get off. Now, whenever you clean your pups off when they come into the house, this is completely off topic, and it got me thinking. Yeah. And you clean their paws. How do you pick up their front paws? Do you pick them up like you do a horse?
Yes.
Okay. And this is something that all of our dogs have, the little teeny tiny dog, because he wouldn't let me pick up his paws. But when you pick up a horse's foot, you face the back, and you put your hand on their leg, and whatever signal you happen to use, their foot comes up, and the knee bends, and the foot makes an arc towards the hindquarters.
Yes.
Okay. Whenever I pick up a dog's paw, it doesn't do that. Their leg has to go forward first.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest thing, because I have to get used to doing that, because when I go to pick our feet up, I'm going, won't pick your feet up. It's like, well, it can't go that way, Mom. And that's very strange for me. I really have to think about how to pick a dog's paw up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I start with the upper leg, and then I work the towel down, and then we pick up the paw and do the actual pad.
Do your pups' knuckles crack?
No.
Pickles has
that would drive me crazy.
Pickles has the crackliest paws ever, because you have to get between them, because of the sand here.
They have very different feet, too, than an Aussie.
Yeah, they're all toes. They have very long toes. They like a long toe on a racing hound, because they're good for gripping when going really, really fast.
So do you have to trim them like every couple of weeks?
No, we don't trim them that. A lot of dogs who have regular nail care, there is a significant gap between the toenail and the floor. For the greyhounds, at least in my experience, you can fit 2 sheets of paper between the nail and the floor, because that's where their cuticle is. Now, you trim them off because, A, they're noisy, but they have really long toes and really long toenails, and that's genetic. They're built that way.
Right.
But she's the first one I've ever had whose knuckles crack whenever you clean the sand out from between her little paws. It's really easy to clean her off, too, because she's got practically no hair. So luckily, it doesn't take too long.
So are greyhound shedders like a lab is a shedder all the time? Short little hairs?
No. For the most part, they do not have an undercoat. Very little shedding. Now, twice a year, you'll lose a little bit of hair, but compared to most dogs, I would say we had a Dalmatian once, and even less hair than a Dalmatian as far as shedding is concerned. Yeah.
Huh.
And some of them have even less hair, like Pickles. Her whole underside is pretty much peach fuzz. There's not really hair there. A lot of them, their bums are kind of naked.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go, oh, it's because they're abused and they have nothing to sleep on. Nope, it's genetic. The hair of its own accord, the hair follicles will die off.
Wow.
And then sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. It's a type of alopecia. I was reading a fascinating article on that a while ago. And that's one of the pluses of having a greyhound who wants to sit on your furniture, is you have very little shedding going on.
Yeah, but you do have the nails to deal with.
You do have the nails to deal with, and they're pokey dogs. They're not soft and squishy. They're pokey.
Yeah, they're bony.
Yes, very bony dogs, as they should be. A healthy greyhound is bony.
Yeah, I like squishy dogs.
Yeah,
with lots of hair.
Yeah, a squishy dog with significant hair is, I think, best on the bed. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Now, I have to tell you that when I was growing up, a dog was not allowed on the bed, was not allowed on the furniture. the dogs
There were
were
rules.
like, oh yeah, rules and kennels and so when I said to myself, when I'm older, dogs are going to be able to be on my bed, on the furniture, anywhere I want them to be.
Oh,
And you
that's
were
funny.
just the opposite. That's so funny.
Funny, yeah. Well, there you go.
You can't, it's not bad or wrong if you don't allow your dogs on the furniture, and it's certainly not bad and wrong if you do.
There you go. It's whatever works for your family.
You got it.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.